My fiancée used me for my business contacts while sleeping with her ex, so I cut her off and let her father destroy her perfect life. Ice, a 28-year-old man, walked out of my own engagement party last night, and my phone has been blowing up ever since. I need some perspective before I completely lose it. I've always been the cautious type when it comes to relationships. My friends even call me Safety Jacks, because I never rush into anything without making sure it's right first. I take my time, watch for red flags, and think things through. That's just how I've always been. But everything changed when I met Zelena 2 years ago. We matched on Hinge, and honestly, she was way prettier than anyone who had ever swiped right on me before. On our first date, I was fully prepared to get ghosted afterward, but instead, we ended up talking for hours. She's smart, confident, and has this infectious laugh that makes everyone around her smile. I was completely into her from day one. The relationship moved pretty quickly after that. We moved in together after 8 months, which was super fast for me. After almost 2 years together, I proposed during a hike to this lookout point she loves. She cried, said yes, and some random hikers even took pictures for us. I thought everything was perfect. Here's where things started getting complicated. Zelena's family has money. Not crazy rich, but definitely the type who belong to country clubs and take European vacations every year. Her dad, Adakus, owns a financial advisory firm that manages retirement funds for businesses around our state. He's definitely successful and never misses a chance to remind me that I'm not. I run my own solar panel installation business. I started it 3 years ago after working for someone else and learning the trade. Now I have 4 employees and steady business. I'm actually proud of what I've built, but Adakus always acts like I'm just pretending to be a businessman. How's the roof climbing business? He asks every time I see him, like he can't remember what I actually do. Zelena always tells me to ignore him, saying she doesn't care about status. I believed her, so our engagement party was last month at their country club. It was nothing super fancy, about 70 people, an open bar, and a jazz band playing in the corner. Everything was going fine until I saw him walk in. Draven, Zelena's college ex, the guy she dated for about 4 years before we met. He's a tall dude with perfect hair, who works at some investment firm and drives a car that probably costs more than everything I own combined. I almost choked on my drink. Why is your ex here? I asked Zelena when I found her talking to some cousins. She gave me a look like I was being ridiculous. His parents are friends with my parents. It would have been weird not to invite him. You didn't think to maybe mention this to me beforehand? I replied. Honestly, I didn't think it mattered. We broke up years ago. It's not a big deal, she said, but the way she kept glancing at him across the room definitely made it feel like a big deal to me. I tried to tell myself I was just being paranoid. I did my best to act normal, talk to her family, thank people for coming, and ignore how Adakus introduced me to his golf buddies as Zelena's fiancé, who does solar things. Real subtle, dude. About an hour into the party, I noticed that I hadn't seen Zelena for a while. At first, I figured she was in the bathroom or talking to relatives. But after about 20 minutes, I started looking for her. I checked the main room, the patio, and even asked one of her friends if they had seen her. Nothing. There was a hallway that led to some smaller rooms in the coat check area. I hadn't checked there yet, so I headed that way, just wanting to find my fiancé so we could take some pictures together or whatever. That's when my whole world pretty much fell apart. I turned the corner and saw her standing with Draven in a little alcove by the coat room. They were standing super close. His hand was on her waist, and they were kissing. Not making out or anything, but definitely a real kiss between two people who knew what they were doing. They didn't see me at first. I just stood there like an idiot, feeling like someone had dumped ice water all over me. I couldn't even move or say anything. My brain just wouldn't process what I was seeing. Then Draven noticed me and stepped back, adjusting his tie like nothing had happened. He didn't even look embarrassed or surprised. He just gave me this weird half-smile that made me want to punch him. Zelena turned around, and her reaction was what really got me. She looked annoyed. Not guilty, not embarrassed, just annoyed that I had interrupted them. Jax, she said with a sigh, don't make this into a big thing. I finally found my voice. What's going on here? She rolled her eyes at me. Actually rolled her eyes. It was just a quick goodbye kiss. We have history together. It's really not that serious. You are kissing your ex at our engagement party, I said, feeling like I needed to clarify the situation since she seemed to think this was normal. It was barely even a kiss, she replied, fixing her lipstick like we were talking about the weather. We dated for 4 years, Jax. We're still friends. Don't be so insecure about it. Draven put his hands in his pockets and had the nerve to add, yeah, man, we're just talking about old times. No need to make it weird. I think that's when something in me just shut down. I felt weirdly calm, like I was watching this happen to someone else. I just nodded, turned around, and slowly walked away. "Jax!" Zelena called after me. "Don't you dare make a scene right now." But I didn't look at anyone. I just walked through the party, grabbed my jacket from the coat check, and headed straight to my car. By the time I got to the parking lot, my phone was already buzzing with texts. "Zelena, where did you go?" "Zelena, answer your phone." "Zelena, you're being completely immature." "Zelena, my dad is asking where you went." "Zelena, OMG, you're embarrassing me so much." I turned my phone off and just drove. I didn't know where I was going at first. I just needed to get away from there. Eventually, I ended up at my buddy Kai's place. He took one look at my face when he opened the door and knew something bad had happened. "Bro, what's wrong?" he asked, letting me in. I told him everything while we sat on his balcony. He just listened. He didn't try to give advice or tell me what to do. He just let me talk it out. "What are you going to do?" he finally asked when I finished. "I have no idea," I said. "But I can't marry her." "Not after this," he nodded. "You can crash here as long as you need." And there I was, sleeping on Kai's gaming couch that's definitely not meant for someone my height, trying to figure out what to do next. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of notifications. My phone was going crazy with missed calls, text messages, and voicemails from Zelena and her dad. Watching Zelena's texts evolve through the night was like seeing all 5 stages of grief happen in real time, ranging from, "How could I embarrass her like this?" to her dad being furious. I was being immature. Then the denial and bargaining started rolling in. The kiss wasn't what I thought. Draven meant nothing to her. I was overreacting. But the voicemails from Atticus were something else. He was basically threatening me. "You better get back here and apologize to my daughter for embarrassing her like this. We have guests from out of town who came specifically for this party. This is completely unacceptable behavior." Then he tried to sound reasonable but still condescending. "Jax, I understand you might be upset, but this is not how adults handle their problems. Call me back so we can discuss this situation like men." I didn't respond to any of it. I just turned my phone off again and tried to figure out what to do next. Kai had to go to work, so I was alone in his apartment for most of the day. That's when I really started thinking clearly about everything. Not just what happened at the party, but about our whole relationship. Zelena and I had been together for 2 years, and during that time, she'd always made these little comments about my business. Stuff like, "Once you get some bigger clients," or "when you can afford to hire more people," always making it seem like what I had built wasn't good enough yet. And whenever we were around her rich friends, she'd introduce me as Jax, who owns his own business, but never actually explained what I did, like she was embarrassed by it. I started realizing there were a bunch of red flags I'd been ignoring because I was so into her. The way she'd always take her dad's side when he made those snide comments about my work, how she'd joke about upgrading my wardrobe, the time she'd mentioned her ex Draven, and then quickly changed the subject like there was more to the story. Around 3 p.m., I decided I needed to go back to our apartment and get my stuff while she was still at work. I texted my employee Marcus to ask if he could help me move some things, and he showed up. I packed everything I couldn't live without into Marcus's truck and my car. It took about 2 hours. Before I left the apartment, I placed my grandma's ring, the one I proposed with, on the kitchen counter with a note that simply read, "Goodbye, kiss." Then I blocked Zelena's number and her social media accounts. I knew that if I talked to her, she'd try to minimize what happened, make me feel crazy for being upset, or convince me to give her another chance. Honestly, I just didn't have the energy for any of that. That night, Zelena apparently showed up at Kai's place looking for me. I wasn't there. I had gone to grab dinner with Marcus after moving my stuff, but Kai texted me, "Your girl just showed up at my door crying." I replied, "You weren't here, and I didn't know when you'd be back. She thinks I'm lying." Heads up, when I returned to Kai's, I found a letter taped to his door with my name on it. Inside was a long, rambling apology from Zelena, saying how the kiss just happened and didn't mean anything. She claimed she and Draven were just reminiscing about old times and got caught up in the moment. She wrote that she was devastated I would throw away our future over one tiny mistake and begged me to call her. I tore it up and tossed it in the trash. The next day, I spent most of the morning calling wedding vendors to cancel everything since I'd already paid about half the deposits. Even though her parents were covering most of the wedding, I insisted on paying my share. I was able to cancel pretty easily, and some vendors even offered partial refunds when I explained what happened. I was just finishing the last cancellation call when my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, thinking it might be Zelena calling from someone else's phone, but for some reason, I picked up. It was Draven, her ex. "Jax, don't hang up," he said quickly. "We should talk about what happened." I replied, "Nothing to talk about. Look, man, I just want to explain. That kiss wasn't planned or anything. Zelena and I were just catching up, talking about college days, and it just sort of happened. It didn't mean anything," I shot back. "So you randomly kiss all your exes when you're catching up? Or just the ones who are engaged?" He sighed. "It was a mistake. A one-time thing. Zelena loves you, man. She's a mess right now." I cut him off. "Cut the crap, man. Why do you even care?" There was a pause. "I just don't want to be the reason someone's relationship ends. It's not cool," I said. "You're not the reason. Zelena made her choice when she kissed you back, and I made mine when I walked out. We're done here." I hung up and blocked his number too. Later that afternoon, Atekas called. He actually called several times before I finally answered. "What?" I said when I picked up. "We need to discuss the situation with you and my daughter," he said, sounding all businesslike. "There's nothing to discuss. We're done," he replied. "Don't be hasty. Everyone makes mistakes." I shot back. "Is Zelena sorry it happened or sorry I saw it?" After a pause, he said, "Jax, I understand you're upset, but perhaps we can come to some kind of arrangement to handle this quietly." I asked, "What does that mean?" He elaborated, "I know your business is still growing. Perhaps you could use some financial assistance, a loan to help expand. In exchange, you and Zelena could postpone the wedding and work through this rough patch." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Are you trying to bribe me to stay with your daughter after she cheated?" I asked incredulously. "I wouldn't put it that way. I'm offering to help smooth things over during a difficult time." I replied, "No thanks," and hung up. I didn't understand why her dad was so concerned about the engagement. It's not like he liked me that much, but I didn't care about what they wanted anymore. I'm done. And that's where things stand now. I'm still at Kai's place, trying to figure out my next steps. I've told a few close friends what happened, but I'm not going around trashing Zelena to everyone we know. I'm just being honest when people ask why I moved out suddenly. The weird thing is, I'm not even that angry anymore. Just done. It's like a switch flipped off inside me when I saw them together. I gave this relationship everything I had, and in the end, it wasn't enough. She still wanted something or someone else. I think what hurts the most isn't even the kiss itself. It's how she reacted when I caught them. She made it seem like I was the problem for being upset. There was no real guilt, no acknowledgement of what she did. I want to start with an immediate apology. I'm just feeling annoyed that I was making such a big deal out of catching my fiancée kissing her ex at our engagement party. For now, I'm just trying to figure out what to do next. I've found an apartment that I can move into next week, and I'm just taking things one day at a time. But I really want to know, do you guys think I'm exaggerating here? Hey everyone, it's been a week since the engagement party disaster, and a lot has happened. First off, I found an apartment and signed a 6-month lease. It's nothing fancy, just a 1-bedroom in a decent area, but it's all mine, and Zelena doesn't know where it is. I moved in 3 days ago with the stuff I managed to grab from our old place. I'll need to buy some furniture eventually, but for now, I've got a mattress on the floor, my TV set up on a plastic storage bin, and my laptop. Living the bachelor dream, right? I thought moving to a new place would give me some space to think, but Zelena had other ideas. Since she couldn't reach me by phone, still blocked, she decided to show up at my worksite on Monday. I run a solar panel installation business, and we were setting up a system at a nice house in the suburbs when her blue Audi pulled up. I was on the roof with 2 of my employees when Marcus, who was on the ground, called up to me. Boss, there's someone here to see you. Looks like your fiancée," I corrected him. "Ex-fiancée?" I climbed down to see what she wanted. Zelena was standing there in heels and an expensive-looking dress, completely out of place among our work trucks and equipment. The customer had come outside to see what was going on, which made the whole thing even more awkward. "We need to talk," Zelena said, not even bothering to lower her voice. I replied, "I'm working," gesturing to the very obvious job site around us. "You've been ignoring all my calls and texts," she said. "You moved out without even talking to me. You're acting ridiculous." I looked at her calmly. "I'm acting like someone who caught his fiancée kissing another man. What exactly did you expect?" She glanced at the customer, who was watching us with obvious interest, then lowered her voice slightly. "That was nothing. A stupid mistake. One little kiss. You're throwing away our entire relationship over it." I asked. "If it was nothing, why were you doing it?" Draven and I were just talking and he leaned in. "It just happened. It meant nothing. Same stupid excuses." I didn't say anything. There was nothing left to say. I turned to walk away, ready to get back to work. "So that's it?" she called after me. 2 years together and you're just done?" I turned back. "Yep, unbelievable." She shook her head, eyes narrowing. You know what? This is probably for the best. I was settling anyway. Settling? I repeated, curious despite myself. Look at you. She gestured at my work clothes. Climbing around on roofs for a living, driving that beat-up truck, living paycheck to paycheck. You really think that's the kind of life I want? That's the kind of man I deserve. I just smiled. No, I don't think that's what you deserve at all. Her expression faltered a bit, as if she wasn't expecting that response. You deserve exactly what you're getting, I continued. And I deserve better than you. The customer, an older lady, actually let out a low, ooh, behind me. Zelena's face flushed. You'll regret this. No one will ever love you like I did. That's what I'm counting on, I said with a slight nod. Then I turned my back on her and walked toward my crew. Back to work, guys. These panels aren't going to install themselves. I heard her car door slam and the engine rev as she sped away. The customer came over and patted my arm. Seems like you dodged a bullet there, honey. I went back to work, but my mind was spinning. The way Zelena had talked about my job and lifestyle made me wonder if she'd always felt that way. Had she always seen me as beneath her? That evening, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Hi, Jax. This is Nix. We haven't met, but I think we need to talk. I'm Draven's girlfriend. Wait, what? Draven has a girlfriend? The same Draven who was kissing my fiancée at our engagement party? I was confused but curious enough to text back and agree to meet her for coffee the next day. Nix turned out to be this cool girl with purple hair who works as a graphic designer. She didn't waste any time getting to the point. Draven's been cheating on me with Zelena for months, she said, pulling out her phone. She showed me screenshot after screenshot of their messages. Texts between Draven and Zelena dated back at least 4 months. They were not just friendly messages. They included plans to meet up, references to hotels they had stayed at, and some explicit content I really didn't need to see. In one message from just 2 weeks before our engagement party, Zelena wrote, Jax's business connections are perfect for helping me launch my interior design company. Once that's running, we'll figure us out. I felt sick reading it, not only because of the cheating but also because she was using me for my business contacts. I had spent years building relationships with contractors and property developers for my solar business, connections that would be valuable to someone trying to break into interior design. How did you find these? I asked Nix. Draven left his iPad logged into his messages at our apartment, she said. I wasn't snooping. I was just going to watch Netflix, but the messages popped up. After reading through them, she realized that the business dinners and networking events he had been attending were actually meetups with Zelena. She showed me more evidence, hotel receipts, restaurant charges on shared credit card statements, even a reservation for the night before our engagement party. The kiss you saw wasn't some spontaneous thing, Nix said. They'd been meeting up regularly. The night before your party, Draven told me he had a late client meeting, but he was actually with Zelena at the Westbrook Hotel downtown. Everything started to make sense. All those nights, Zelena claimed she was working late or having drinks with the girls. She was actually with Draven. I recalled how she sometimes put her phone face down when I entered the room, and how she'd get defensive if I asked about her day or who she had been with. I'm sorry, Nix said. I thought you should know. Don't be sorry, I told her. Thanks for showing me this. It confirms I made the right decision walking away. Nix nodded. I wish I'd known sooner. I've wasted 3 years with Draven. 3 years, I said. So he was with you the entire time I was with Zelena? Looks that way, she replied grimly. We compared notes and realized there were at least 15 to 20 instances when Zelena and Draven had claimed to be somewhere else but were actually together. After I left coffee with Nix, I received a call from Zelena's friend, Senna. We had always gotten along well, so I was surprised to hear from her. I can't believe what she's saying about you, Senna said. She's telling everyone you were controlling and jealous and that she's glad you broke up. Is that right? I asked, not really surprised. It's total BS and I know it, she said firmly. I can't listen to her lie anymore. That's why I'm calling. I suspected something about her and Draven for a while. I should have said something. You knew? I asked. Not for sure, she said. But I saw them together at a restaurant about 2 months ago when Zelena told me she was visiting her mom. When I asked her about it later, she got super defensive and made me promise not to mention it to you. Interesting. So even her friends knew something was going on. There's more, Senna continued. She's throwing a freedom party this weekend at that new club downtown. She's invited everyone and is calling it her celebration of dodging a bullet. Senna paused. Draven will be there as her date. Good for them, I said with a laugh. Hope they have fun. I've sent you an email with the invitation, Senna added. I thought you should know what she's saying about you. I thanked her, checked my email, and sure enough, there was an invite to Zelena's freedom celebration with a picture of her looking happy, captioned, "Finally free and living my best life." Without thinking, I forwarded the invitation to Atakis with no comment. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Atakis. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded. "Just thought you'd want to know what your daughter's up to while you're trying to save her engagement," I replied coolly. "Where did you get this invitation?" "Does it matter? Your daughter is publicly celebrating our breakup with the same guy she was cheating on me with. The guy she was kissing at the engagement party you threw for us." There was a long pause. "This is unacceptable," he finally said, his voice tight. "After everything I've done." Then he hung up. I decided not to go to Zelena's party. I obviously had better things to do with my weekend, but I was curious about what Atakis meant by, "after everything I've done." Something weird was definitely going on with her family, so I made a call. My friend Raven works as a reporter at a local business journal and knows all the financial gossip in town. "Hey Raven, quick question. Have you heard anything about Bennett Financial Advisors lately? Anything unusual going on?" There was a pause on the line. "Wait, you didn't know? They're under investigation by state regulators." "About it?" I didn't. And now I said, "What kind of investigation?" "Compliance issues with client accounts. Nothing public yet, but it's serious. Several big clients are already quietly moving their money." "Why are you asking about Atticus Company?" I briefly explained the situation, and suddenly everything clicked. Atakis's desperate attempts to keep me with Zelena, the bribe offers. It all made sense now. A big family wedding would project stability and success while his business was under scrutiny. Nothing says everything's fine like dropping serious cash on your daughter's wedding. I hung up with Raven and immediately texted Atticus. "I know about the regulatory investigation." No response for like an hour. Then my doorbell rings. I peek through the hole, and who do I see but the great Attakis Bennett himself, somehow tracking down my new address like some kind of rich people GPS. I open the door but don't invite him in. "Jax," he says, voice all smooth and businessman-like. "I think we got off on the wrong foot. Can we talk?" Against my better judgment. Seriously, why do I make these decisions? I let him in. My place is basically a sad IKEA display gone wrong. Mattress on the floor, folding table, 2 chairs that probably cost less than his watch. He looks around, trying not to grimace. Bless his heart. "I understand you're upset with Zelena," he begins, perching on my Walmart chair like it might bite him. "And you have every right to be. What she did was disappointing." "Disappointing?" I laughed. "Yeah, finding your fiancée sucking face with her ex is kind of disappointing." He ignores my sarcasm. "But we all make mistakes," he continues. "And I know for a fact she regrets what happened. This situation could still be salvaged." I just stare at him. "Cut the crap, Atticus. Why are you really here?" He sighs like I'm the unreasonable one. "Look, our families were about to be joined." "I still think of you as almost family. And I'd hate to see you struggle with your business when I could help." "My business is doing fine," I say in my best, talking to a toddler voice. "It could be doing better," he says, leaning forward. "I have connections. I know people who are looking to go solar, high-end residential clients, the kind that could really put your company on the map. In exchange for what? Getting back with Zelena? Let me guess. We can just pretend I never saw her playing tonsil hockey with her ex. Think of it as a fresh start. People reconcile after mistakes all the time." I shake my head. "Yeah, that's going to be a no from me, dog." His face changes. There's Theral Atticus. The mask slips. "I waystring to be reasonable, Jax. But since you mentioned the investigation into my company, you should know that information could be damaging if it got out prematurely. Is that a threat?" "Because it sounds like a threat wrapped in a Brooks Brothers suit. It's a reminder that we all have vulnerabilities," he says coolly. "Your solar supplier. They get their financing through a subsidiary of my firm. One word from me and your credit terms could become problematic." My stomach drops faster than my ex's standards. If my main supplier cut off my payment terms, I'm basically screwed. "So that's Theral Atticus Bennett," I say, "threatening someone's livelihood because your daughter can't keep her promises. Father of the year material right there." "I prefer to think of it as protecting my family's interests," he replies, standing up. "Think about my offer. Help with high-end clients in exchange for your discretion and reconciliation with Zelena, or choose the alternative." After he left, I sat on my sad little mattress, thinking about how my life has become a bad Netflix drama. I spent the next few hours calling other suppliers, checking prices, basically trying to patch together a plan B. It would cost more, but maybe doable. The thought of crawling back to Zelena just to save my business makes me want to yeet myself into the sun. So that's where things stand now. I'm trying to figure out how to save my business from my ex's daddy issues. I've told a few friends what happened, but I'm not going around trashing Zelena to everyone. The truth is coming out just fine on its own. The weird thing is, I'm not even mad at Zelena anymore. Just relieved I found out she's a cheater before I put a ring on it. But her dad's threats have me stressed. This is the business I built from nothing. My employees depend on me. In a way, catching that kiss was the best thing that could have happened to me. But it's also opened up a whole new level of crap I never saw coming. Funny how life works out, huh? Hey, again, it's been 2 weeks since everything went down. So the big event this weekend was Zelena's freedom party, her celebration of our breakup. I obviously didn't go, but I heard all about it from multiple sources, and let me tell you, it did not go according to her plan. According to Senna, Zelena showed up with Draven as her date. She was telling everyone that I had been controlling and jealous, and that she had finally escaped our toxic relationship. About an hour into the party, guess who showed up? Atakus. He walked straight up to Zelena and Draven on the dance floor, and started yelling at them in front of everyone. He called Draven a worthless parasite, and Zelena an ungrateful child. Then he told her that her credit cards had been cancelled, her allowance was cut off, and she had 2 weeks to move out of her apartment. Zelena completely lost it, screaming back at him that he couldn't control her anymore. Draven apparently just stood there looking uncomfortable. Eventually, the bouncers asked all 3 of them to leave. The next morning, I got a text from an unknown number, which turned out to be Zelena using a friend's phone. It was a long paragraph about how much she regretted everything, how Draven had manipulated her, how she had made the biggest mistake of her life, and asking if we could please talk. I didn't respond. Later that day, Nyx, Draven's girlfriend, called me. "Did you hear what happened at the party?" "I got the highlights from Senna." "Well, there's more," she said. "Draven just tried to come crawling back to me. He said Zelena was crazy and that he had made a mistake, claiming they had only been hooking up casually and she got too attached. He insisted he never promised her anything serious. I asked her what she said, and she replied, 'I told him to get lost. But I thought you should know they're apparently already turning on each other.' I was honestly satisfied that karma did its job, but I was still worried about my business and Atakus's threats. On Monday morning, my main solar panel supplier called and I braced myself, convinced Atakus had messed up my credit terms. Instead, they asked if everything was good with my account, sounding confused when I inquired about any problems. They actually wanted to expand my credit line due to my excellent payment history and the fact that I was taking on bigger projects. I was honestly confused. Had Atakus backed off his threat? Later that day, I found out why when I ran into a guy I know who works at another financial firm. He mentioned in passing that Bennett Financial was going through some compliance issues and that Atakus was scrambling to keep clients from jumping ship. Apparently, he had bigger problems than messing with my supplier accounts. That evening, I got another text from Zelena, this time from her own number. "Jax, please call me. My dad cut me off completely. I need to talk to you." I blocked her number again. Not my circus, not my monkeys. The weirdest part of all this is that I'm actually doing better than I have in months. It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I didn't realize how much energy I was spending trying to be good enough for Zelena and her family until I stopped having to do it. So, that's where things stand now. My business is growing, I've got a cool dog, a nice apartment, and maybe the beginning of something new with someone named Echo. Not at all where I thought I'd be a month ago, but I'm actually happier than I've been in a long time. Sometimes life's biggest disappointments lead to unexpected opportunities. If Zelena hadn't cheated, I would be planning a wedding right now to someone who didn't really love me, just what I could do for her. Instead, I'm free to build a life that's actually right for me.